is sexism to you?
Like discrimination against the opposite sex.
Okay.
What is sexism to you?
Sexism is a way of dividing people by creating labels or definitions that people are supposed to follow.
What is sexism to you?
It's people who kind of put their own like sex above others, and they think that they're better than the other sex, which isn't always true.
What is sexism to you?
I think it's when the thing in society is when gender roles are pushed onto everybody else. So like saying that a woman has to be something weaker than what she could be, but at the same time, I think, yeah, we'll get on to
Sexism to you?
I think it would be like giving some kind of advantage of one sex over the other.
Have you ever had someone be sexist towards you?
Yes.
Can you name like a specific
I can't
incident?
name the professor because at this school, but like she was more towards like the females in the class.
What do you mean? Like she was
So
nicer to them?
she was nicer to them. She excused them for being late. And when she would get like males, she'd get mad and like kick them out of class for being late. But she would allow females to come in.
Have you ever had someone be sexist towards you?
Probably. I mean, I can't think of any incident, but I'm sure that it probably has happened.
Have you ever had someone be sexist towards you?
Yes.
How so?
They judge me because I'm a guy. They say like, oh, you're just a guy, you wouldn't understand and stuff. But I do understand.
Have you ever had someone be sexist towards you?
Yes, and I think it wasn't intentional, but my family is very into the guy being the stronger person, so it's a matter of like, I don't know, like an example, like my sister could be sitting out in the living room with her shoes off, and I could be in my room with my shoes off. My mom would come into my room and say, hey, you need to go out and grab or take out the pizza that everybody just ate to the fridge outside because your sister doesn't have her shoes on. And I'm like, well, I obviously don't have my shoes on either, but it's she doesn't want to mention it's because I'm a guy, but it's obviously for that reason.
Have you ever had someone be sexist towards you? And
Oh, yeah.
Can you give an example of a time that
Well,
specific?
the easiest to talk about now that I'm realizing is when we had to sacrifice everything in the 60s to save the guys from going to Vietnam. We sacrificed our scholarships, our grades, our careers, everything, so these guys didn't get killed.
Have you ever had someone be sexist towards you?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Have you seen others be sexist towards someone? Can you name like a specific incident?
Yes, I know. Like I know about it, but I've never seen it firsthand.
Have you seen others be sexist towards someone?
A little, yeah. I've seen it at my work. My manager has a preference for women over men, just because he feels that they do like the job that they hired them for better. I know that I've seen it as well, like here at the college a couple of times.
Have you seen others be sexist towards you?
I have, but it's like a lot of times it seems like the guy is more sexist than the girl. Like in my experience, like from what I've seen. But then it's weird because I've been like had girls be sexist to me.
Okay. Have you seen others be sexist towards someone?
Yeah, a lot of guys will be bashing on girls, saying like you can't make as much money as us because you don't do as much work as us, whereas a lot of girls do a lot more work than guys do.
Right.
Have you ever seen others be sexist towards
Oh,
someone?
well, yes, of course.
Is there like a specific example you could?
I can't think of something specific, but I mean, it's, common.
Yeah.
Are gender roles sexist? Do you think that gender roles are sexist?
Yes and no. Like if that makes sense, like yes
Can you
and no.
explain?
Yes, because like that's how people view them, and like it's a stereotype. But no, because like again, it's like a stereotype. It's like a double standard.
Are gender roles sexist?
To a point, yeah. I feel like everyone's kind of like made to like be a certain way. Like guys are supposed to be tough, women are supposed to be emotional. You know, it's kind of like what's been told. Like I've heard it from my mother. Like growing up as like from my mom, I only had my mom as a parent. She always told me you can be tough, and it's just because I'm a man. You know, and I guarantee she would have no other pride than like, you know, be, you know, it's okay to feel these feelings, but yeah, definitely.
Are gender roles sexist?
What do you mean by gender roles?
Like male, female, transgender?
I don't think it's sexist to have a gender like specific role, but I do think it's like what you believe personally you are. Like I don't think that you should just because you're one that you're better than the other. That's not like how they should be separated. But there should be like some kind of.
Okay. Are gender roles sexist?
I think if they're imposed on other people, I think they are necessary for order, in a way, because a lot of people have already been raised that way, and it would be almost chaotic to take that away from them.
Right.
To say that you have to try to be the stronger because you're a woman and you want to get away from the gender role, but I think a lot of women are comfortable sticking with the gender role because it's true. A lot of guys are stronger than girls. Not all guys. Obviously, there's a lot of girls that are stronger, and stronger in different ways too, emotionally or any other way. I think they are necessary for the comfort of others, some others, but I do think that they can be sexist if one is to say that a girl has to be stuck in.
Are gender roles sexist?
Yes. And I don't know if it comes from you're born that way and your hormones or exposure, but definitely there's no separating it from being sexist.
Are gender roles sexist?
That's a good question.
Okay.
Probably. I mean, yeah. What is the point? The point is to divide people into groups, and then I'm sure it's part of it.
Do you think that sexism is learned?
Yes.
Okay. And do you think you learn it from like your peers? Do you learn it once you get into school? Do your parents kind of enforce that on you a little bit?
Depending on where you grew up, you can probably learn it from your parents. You definitely see it in schools. You learn about it probably too.
Yeah.
Sexism learned?
Definitely, yeah. If you don't learn it from your parents, you see it just in our culture. Like my friend Anthony, he said, like the media, like even though that's a question coming up, like it's everything. Just if you listen to music, people are made to look at one way, or everyone's supposed to kind of fit into these descriptors of how you should look, how you should act.
Is sexism learned?
I think it's kind of passed down because a lot of times you're like your parents are. So if you hear like a lot of things in your environment that's like, oh, that's just like what girls do, or that's what girls are like, then you kind of start to think like that, even though it's not necessarily true.
Is sexism learned?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's learned.
Is sexism learned?
I think it's genetic, it's taught, and that means it's learned. But we do it as a society, we even do it as parents when we're trying not to do it. It just happens.
Is sexism learned?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's inherent to being a human.
Yes.
Have you ever been sexist?
Probably. At one point, probably, but like.
But you can't think of like a specific incident?
Like not to be.
Do you think you have any like stereotypes in your head that you kind of think of that are like subconscious a little bit? Like.
Probably, yeah.
Can you name one?
No.
Okay.
Have you ever been sexist to anybody?
Probably, yeah. I think that's just from like always it being around you. I feel like it's not like you try to be, but it kind of just comes out.
Do you have an example of who or when?
I feel like a lot of the time, like if I see women with short hair or women like who are really like buff, I look at it as like a masculine trait. Like my mother, she's lesbian and she has really short hair. But the thing is, she was a correctional officer, which isn't exactly like, you know, it's a tough job. So like I look at that as like I'm like she's strong and like more masculine because of that.
Have you ever been sexist?
I have in jokes, but not really like full out believing that somebody's like that. Like I've joked around with people, like made sexist jokes. But usually it's like with somebody that I know understands I'm joking, not with somebody that's just like I go up to and say it to.
Have you ever been sexist?
I have, in the same ways. But also, I feel like something that's not really like talked about is me being, or guys being sexist towards guys, or girls being sexist towards girls. And it's like, I'm always sexist towards guys. I'll look at a guy and automatically make an assumption whether or not he's stronger than me or not. You know, like making that assumption that he has to be. Kind of, and seeing that in the subconscious way, like I don't mean to, but making yourself feel like you're better than them.
Right.
Whereas you're not, like they're probably better at a lot of things than you are. But realizing that they're just a human being and they're allowed to be weaker or they're allowed to be more emotional.
Do you think you've ever been sexist?
Yeah, I ask guys to lift heavy things. But that's based on ability
Yeah.
rather than sexism. Although, you know, when I want car information, I'm more likely to ask a guy than a girl. But we don't have the car guys on the radio anymore. But I know women mechanics who are, I think women could be better mechanics than guys if they were taught.
Do you think you've ever been sexist?
I'm sure.
Do you see sexism in social media? And if so, how?
It's, people on social media objectify women. So you see the girls being called like bitches and hoes, shit like that.
Okay.
Do you see sexism in the social media?
Definitely, yeah. Like, you know, everyone tries to look their best on social media. You know, everyone tries, as a guy, tries to look stronger and like show their features. Women always try and show their stuff off too, and it's kind of just like always perpetuated. Like you have to look like this, or you have to look like that, or you're not gonna get women, you're not gonna get guys, blah blah blah. And it's kind of just like it feeds on itself. And I don't like it's I don't think the best way of doing it. Like I feel like you should be yourself, but in today's society, it's hard to be yourself without being judged.
So I'm gonna ask you something.
What's up?
So have you ever done stuff like that, like show your features?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like the thing, like I'm a skinny guy, but the thing is, like I'm tall, which to me is a masculine feature. I'm like 6'2". So like for a lot of the time, like if I try and like show my masculinity, it's showing my height. Because I mean, that's pretty much all I've got. I'm pretty West Coast over here. But.
Do you see sexism in social media?
All the time, like whether it's against guys or girls or just like how people refer to others as being gay or something like that, that could be also considered sexist. So I think that it's all over the place.
Do you see sexism in social media?
Oh yeah. Just kind of the same as what everybody else said. It's like you'll see that everybody's always trying to outdo each other by like saying like I have the prettier body and so on, and that automatically shows to everybody else that that's what you're supposed to be. You know, you're not allowed to be a little bit chubbier than someone else, or else you're not the perfect woman. You're not the perfect guy. So.
Do you see sexism in like in social media or just generally like
Everywhere.
media?
It is everywhere, and it's political, and it's follow the money.
Do you see sexism in social media or just the media in general?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think just the way they portray women, you know, as like a bitch and, you know, shrill and all those kinds of, like, hysterical, you know, like this Supreme Court nominee was hysterical, but people were saying like, wow, he's like really standing up for himself, you know. But if it was a woman up there crying and screaming and calling him like, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could go on and on.
Okay.
Do you think sexism could ever disappear?
Maybe, but that'd take a lot of work because It starts off when you're young. Like I said before, like when you're raised, you see it. So you have to get it at the root with like parents. So maybe it's a possibility.
Do you think sexism could ever disappear?
Probably not. Like, just because the thing about humans is we want to put labels and descriptions towards everything, and sexism is a way of creating those labels and descriptions. And unless we, I don't know, completely get rid of how we describe everything, then no.
Do you think that sexism could ever disappear?
I believe it would take a lot of work because a lot of people are very like strongly feeling emotionally like towards that. Like it's who they are and who they've been raised to be like. So it's kind of hard to make somebody who they're not. So I think it could be, but it would take a lot of time.
Do you think sexism could ever disappear?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are still going to have those values of, I don't know. I think sexism really is a mindset. So I think once everybody starts to understand each other, I think a lot of people, whenever you don't find it sexist as a gender role and everybody in that community is comfortable with being in a gender role, I think it's not sexist. Whereas if you were to look at it from the outwards and you did think that was sexist, you would automatically think that was sexist. So I don't think it's ever going to go away because everybody has a different opinion and everybody's going to call something else sexist.
Do you think sexism could ever disappear?
Not in my lifetime. I don't see it happening. I don't see, especially men being willing to change enough.
Do you think sexism could ever disappear completely?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you think, what sort of things do you think we would have to do to?
Like make a Supreme Court that's just all women. That'd be a good first step. Yeah. Or just one that represents. Well, I mean, our whole government, if it represented, like if it was representative of the people they govern instead of a bunch of, old white guys that are millionaires.